Hello and welcome, as it is the 24th day of October 2018. Welcome. It's not the crypto day morning, it's a nighttime video. And Bitcoin doing the same old thing. This session, it's only 2 hours and 23 minutes in, and we've already managed to get volatility so far of 40 points. Yesterday's volatility, or that of Wednesday, about 80 points. Not too much. So let's take a look at some altcoins, all trades, bets, and of the like, always within one's own risk and reward. Start off with Komodo. What's the first coin I started off with this morning? And it's going up right now, doing very, very well. Who would have thought that such of event would happen, thus going a little bit higher? It's now entering further amongst this resistance area period, which is between where we stand now, 22.5, we'll say, upwards to around 25.3 handle. We'll see how much further this has the capability of going up. It does seem, though, as if the altcoin community is either going up a bit or going sideways. And the only big down moves are retracement from short-term up moves, at least so it seems. Let's take a look at some other coins with good setups. And ZEC will be the next one on the list, which has had multiple hit bottoms at around and this is priced against Bitcoin, but 0.017 handle, and a decent rally in September. It's the case that it's pretty much going sideways. Like I say, a lot of these coins, these lows, that the all-time lows or the most recent lows are many a days ago, with a lot of them, this one being no exception. But within the current price action in here, I like how it's leaving the 18 average right now. So it's barely broken above this level of resistance. This has the potential to go off and maybe test in this point in here as a possibility. And of course, when these cryptos go off, they can just go. But decent setup, I think, with this coin. Poly crossed next against Binance coin, rather. This last move that occurred from this 1877 handle low up to this 3600 high has since brought several days showing strength amongst the 18 average on highs on very good volume, very stable volume to say the least. So this tells me that this might be poised for another break run higher. At least that's how I'm looking at this, because of the good volume and how it's just hanging in there like it is within such. And next on the list, OST against Binance coin, showing many days of strength amongst the 18 average of highs. And more importantly, the move on September 25th, seeing this going from the 34.5 handle mark up to about 78. So 34 to 78. That is well better than doubling. So it has, and every time I see a move like this, I need to see it hold. And I look at these lines here. Okay, between 363 and like 39.77, and it pretty much did come down to that level of support. So when I see that, this successful support like this, that's what I'm looking to clarify to be okay, that this move that we've just seen is not showing to be that of a failed one, but rather one that might have the potential. And now that it's had 3 hits of this resistance area field, we can look at this line at 8,000. It was resistance in July 8th. It was August the 7th and again on September 24th. So getting above that point, which is what we'd be looking for on a leg higher than this, then we'd be looking for another decent leg. And considering that we've already resisted this previous level of support, I'm looking at this little area of play in here. That could be the next area of resistance if it does, of course, break through the high in here. Next up is Strat, and it just had its breakout on the Wednesday session. So as I've mentioned before, when a situation like this happens, I want to see it hold a key area. I'm not going to tell you where the key area is, but maybe it's somewhere lower than current price. It can continue to go off right now. Decent sized move on high volume, but it's either going to be the start of a decent sized move or the failed breakout. And usually failed moves going to have fast moves lower, and the fact that this only came down here from this failed breakout, that's about the minimum of a move I would expect if something like this were to ultimately fail. But not predicting if this is going to be a positive move or not. Rather, it had its breakout today. That's about it. Moving on to Cloak, I've been talking about this a little bit before, and it broke through this level of resistance, so decent gain higher. To me, that means if you were looking to play long in here and you've seen the nice setup, then there's been a possibility to get some profits off the table. I wouldn't buy a market looking like this as it's overextended unless you know something fundamentally, because when you look at this long-term game still, price action currently in at 49, if you know it's going to be going up to this 140 or 150 mark, let alone a lot of these coins can very easily make higher highs and the next given move possibly, that it would be a decent sized buy, of course, because it's still relatively cheap. And when we look at the size of these moves, because it's like I've talked so much about like bulls and bears turn, but it's so obvious to see point low, and then you got this high up here, and then you have this other low, and then even along the way, all of these key levels. And then you can say to yourself as a trader, how do I take advantage of these key moves? Mathematically, you can know, okay, well, just based on this one here, the low was in at 57, we'll say 577, the high was about 900. So that was better than a 50% move that was available, but it also meant that when you have these downtrends, that's a serious move. And so the big move from this high to this low, well, the move is over. The bulls are in control now because price action is maintaining a decent amount. Is this going to be the high or is this going to be the high? They can go pretty good to the upside when they want to. So far, this is really just had sideways action and early stages of this breakout in here. So more long term, heck, it's going to be pretty interesting moving forward within Cloak. Next up, I'm going to take a look at Via Coin. I always think about a railroad, a rail train. I've taken the Via Rail many times in my life before, so I always think about the train within this coin. But I'm seeing a lot of periods showing strength amongst the 18 average of highs. I really think this thing is ready to get going, as I've just recently purchased this several days ago, given what I'm seeing amongst its chart. Icon will be next with its ticker symbol ICX. I'm going to cross this against Binance Coin as well. Pretty similar within Bitcoin, so what I say here is pretty much the same there. But within this, we had this rally leaving the 18 average, basically breaking the resistance field of about the 7164 handle, thus making it a resistance range from that number to 7452. Now, it's came down to the 18 average of lows. I'd be looking for a move breaking out past this point. If it does this, with, of course, successful correctionary move at this area here, then I'd be interested to see if this has a decent size gain that will follow. But really, I do want to see this get above this high or this 72 level. If it can make a move into there, I'd be pretty confident that it could further make a move, maybe even over 80. And Ripple crossed against Binance Coin as well, showing strength amongst the 18 average of highs. But wow, is this ever on a very low volatile level or in extreme low volatility? This thing seems ready to pop, but you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if this pops to the upside as the next significant move. Yeah, a lot of times these indecisive neutral patterns will resolve themselves within the primary trend, which to me seems on the up move with this up move that happened, having a decent price correction, but all of this empty space, that's what it filled. Okay, if it can get above this area, maybe hold and stay above this 50 handle for more than a couple of days, then that would be pretty good. But you're also looking for strength to develop. Maybe show me a situation on here where this can make a move up here, and then maybe have a pullback. The 18 would then start to rally. Resistance would be established at some place. And then as it's breaking out, then that can give you a good signal that, oh my goodness, this thing is ready to get going. Of course, that would be more expensive to do so, because if you're waiting for something like this, your most likely entry point would be at around 54, 55. And the current price, of course, right now is 47. Vertcoin next on the list, and I'm going to show a lot of periods to start this off, just give you a complexity to how big these moves are. This is something that's went from 90,000 right now down to 10. A lot of the volatility has kind of shrunk, and the market has been going sideways for quite some time right now. But within this sideways consolidation, interesting period yesterday, as it had one of the highest lows that Vertcoin has had since back in September. So basically it got up to this point on the October 23rd session, and it has been able to hold these levels relatively well. It's going to come down right now to how this correctionary move reacts. And whether we look at this on the 3 hour or we look at this on the 1 hour, we've came back to the key area you'd want it to hold. Yes, it could come down a little bit more, even to about the 10.44 handle. But getting out above this short-term established resistance in here at about the basically the 11 handle, the 110 number, getting above here, especially if it bottoms now and all that type of stuff, then I'd be looking at this holding more seriously, because if it can just stay and hold above this level, even just for a few days period, that creates a very bullish sentiment. But I really do need to see this thing get above like the 123 number, or 122 even, before I can start to give this any type of real reason for conviction. But the bottom line is this is down a lot compared to a lot of the other ones. And like I've mentioned with these coins, because it's been like this all year long, all of these down moves, the April Fool's rally that happened, although this one didn't do so much for that. And then it's either altcoins going up or doing what we're seeing here, going and staying sideways. But 18 average of lows barely starting to rise. Same thing with the 18 of highs. Next up is AppCoins against Binance, which holding relatively well, but you have this nice up and down, choppy, volatile action, and that's really what I'm looking for, is these moves to happen as a trader. Situations where the price action comes up here and then corrects down there, up here, corrects down, and then back up here again, correction, and just all of the volatility within these sessions in here. It's just magnificent. But as far as the market, how it's doing, since this last move, it's holding well within the 18 average after having its move from this last price correction down on October 14th. It had stayed sideways mainly within the 18 highs for quite some time, and then the session on October 22nd breaking out above it and now pausing its move, which is very bullish. Within such 3-hour term time frame, I do see a triple top though, and it hasn't broken near that level of support, but it has had many situations of trying to break above it. Still has an 18 averages, hasn't given in, but getting above these levels here, it's, it should be ready to go, especially because it's already gotten above this twice hit level of resistance. And the correctionary move has been put in place. It could fail, because what I don't like about it is because there was 2 opportunities where this should have really went off, and it hasn't done so yet. Thus, the triple top makes me a little bit concerned. But I do think, and that's why long term I'm just going to be wherever. If it falls, I believe it's going to come down here, which is going to create possible buying opportunities, as is the case if it breaks this level of resistance, because it usually has decent sized moves when it happens. Qtum against Binance Coin is next, and it's broken this level of resistance now over the last few days, coming back to correctionary phase. It's came back to this line area, but which range would I want to see it? I would think that the must hold area is somewhere around, against Binance, somewhere a little under 40, around the 39 handle, which represents the level of resistance on September 13th. It represents this congestion area at the end of September, and again of this resistance area here October 10th, as well as this support on October the 19th. So the test comes into place. Is this going to be a failed breakout where I could just draw a little square in this type of area, and then you'd at least have a price on a failed move go down to previous low? Or, of course, is this going to be that of a real move? And then, if that's the case, once this correctionary move is over, then you'd expect it to get above these highs, and then, as I've shown so much of this thing is down a lot, that if it retests these highs, I mean, that's a 3x move, better than such, even closer to 4, getting to the previous high in here, if it's going to be able to make that move. Again, a market that's went down, sideways, and just up a little bit. AGI, or Singularity.net, next on the list, and this is a little overextended, but at the same point, if this thing goes off for a big gain, I wouldn't be surprised either. You established this resistance October 13th, show a lot of strength amongst the 18 average of highs. So if you're looking at it back in here, okay, I want to buy on one of these days. Well, if you bought, you would have bought somewhere around 800. Now the price is 893. It was at 970. So there's definitely been opportunities for profit taking along the way, even if it's just selling, say, whatever, 10-15% here, if that's what you choose. But if so, I'm going to be looking to see it hold this area. That's going to be very important, if, of course, this comes down from where we stand right now. But because we've already been to this point, it only took 2 days to go from this low to this high originally. And for it to have its sell-off that it always has, correct very nicely, and then have this update follow through like it has, I wouldn't be surprised if it did follow through with a big candle. I'm not going to predict it. But if I were to have to pick something as far as, which ones do I like for today? Well, this one looks a lot better than most other coins. Next up, Chainlink, which is a market that's had a lot of higher highs and higher lows from the July lows at about the 2,300 mark. This is crossed against Bitcoin. and it's went from under 2,500 to about 7,500. That's over a 3x move. As far as where it is, it's not that far below its 2018 highs. This is definitely one of the earlier movers, but as we can see, it's made a lot of these higher highs and higher lows along the way. And since this last move has come into place, where do I see the must-hold area? Well, resistance roughly here about 5,500 up to about 58. So if there's going to be any further continuation amongst such, I think it's going to be very interesting how this 18 average comes into place along the way. But so far, this has done very, very well. So that's a bunch of codes or coins that I actually own. Now I'm going to put a couple nice setups for ones that I do not own. First off, ARK, which amongst its daily term time frame has had a lot of this resistance recently at about the 1187 mark. And we had this from the 18 average of lows on October 15th take 3 days to get above here, but supporting that general area and finding a lot of strength recently amongst the 18 average of highs, which on today's session has had a nice little breakout. So this looks like to me that it's leaving the 18 average of highs and it's ready to get in there for a decent size move. Block Nascent Credit Protocol is next. I like this one so much that I actually bought some of it, where I entered into a regular position for such. Lots of great up and down movements, at least beforehand. Nice volatile moves, especially when you see days like this beforehand. But as it's currently playing within the 18, I do like how with this decent volume, how I see it leaving the 18 average in yesterday's session as we move into today, after it's done very well within its last correctionary phase, getting it above this resistance level between 1900 and 20 high, 2088, so 20 high then, getting it above that or well above the 21 number. This has the potential to start off and make a move between 24 to 33, but I'm looking for what could be a decent sized move to get to here at 52, but who knows how far these things can go up. But like, what's the potential for this? Does it top out on a good move at 33? Will it go up to say 51? Will we meet these previous resistance marks like we did last March over 13,000? I say that with a question mark because I wouldn't be surprised with some of them. Oh, it breaks this high and goes to 40 or 50,000. Okay, so be it. When these altcoins go, they're really gonna go off. But decent setup here with BCPT. Moving on. That will be the Ethos, ticker symbol BQX, crossed against Bitcoin. And it had its 2-day rally on October 13th from the 4,700 number up to where we stand at 65, pulled back down to the 18 average, found support where we want to see it hold. This little area here between 55 and 51, it came down just below it. But as it makes this rally, and where did it come from? It came from this resistance point. So we can see that it had a decent 2-day move. Now what it has developed is a symmetrical triangle, as we got the level of support here and resistance. I'll be interested to see how this breaks out. Next coin, that will be the Loop Ring, crossed against Bitcoin, the final one. Going to talk a bit about XBY as well. I'll do that after the analysis amongst this coin, which is showing me a decent possible pattern that this thing could be ready to get going. Several resistant fields hit amongst this area at 1870, between 1938, and even back in here this had a high at 1975. A clear break above the 2K number, 2000. This thing could have the potential for some decent gain, but this thing fell pretty hard. It's April Fool's rally. Oh boy, did it ever have a move though. When we look at this, is what I love about the altcoins. Okay, so 2017, before this thing gets going, like all the other ones, this thing goes from like 1200 up to like 15,000, 16,000. So there's like a 12x move. Even up to like 18,000. 18,000, then down to like over 3,000. So 4.5 times loss. 3,500 up to 11,000. So a 3x gain. The potential for the moves when it gets going is pretty darn near good. Now, is this ready to go? I don't know. But it seems ready and poised to move higher. Alright, so yes, XBY Extra Bytes, I can't show it on here, but it's having a very good day, as the price has broken well above 500 after it was in the 400s recently. And ever since I talked about that particular coin, XBY, like most, I mean, I've talked about it over and over, but since I stated, okay, I think it's going to go down below 600, that's where I want to get back in. So it meant many months ago, like 4 or 5 months ago, I bought a whole bunch when it came down to 500 and change, and that's what the price is there now. But because it's had nice moves up to 9, down to 5, up to 6, down to 4, up to 5, I've been able to buy and sell at different points that I'm up in that point because of decent rallies today. I've had very good gains, and I've hit sell orders. And that's the whole general part about this game, because I realize I don't want to predict tops and bottoms to a degree. I mean, it's fun to do. But when you have all of these sell orders up here, buy back a little bit in here, sell a bit up here, buy back in here, sell, buy. So all of these sell orders get hit. Even these back for buy orders. Even these sell orders here from like 2018, I could be buying back in here. And then I'd have sell orders ready to go at different spots. And then just keep playing it in that form. I like doing it. That's my basic strategy. So I'm going to conclude that video as it is now. Thank you for tuning in. And I'll be back in, let's see, it's 11:05 p.m. Eastern Time. So I'll be back in about 10 hours or so, maybe. Maybe even less. Have yourself a great night, day, morning, whenever, wherever you are. Bye-bye.